Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will now invite Dr. Teresa Kwama to read the citation of the 123rd Inaugural Lecturer.
A citation on Professor Chika C. Uchendu, the 123rd Inaugural Lecturer of the University of Calabar, the Vice Chancellor, the distinguished Professor Florence Bankwobi. Please permit me to stand on the existing protocols. I have been called upon to crack open a little window to peep into knowing who this natural, she's standing, yes. This naturally fully packaged, power-packed, smart, ageless lady standing beside me is. It is difficult to summarize Professor Uchendu's life in 10 minutes, but let's give it a try. On the 7th day of June, 1959, baby Chika, a bundle of joy, was born into the excited family of Chief and Mrs. Ephraim Obiekwe Anene of Ezinimo, Unzionwene, in Idemili North local government area of Anambra State. After her birth, baby Chika was struck by a strange illness, which nearly took her life, but for the providence of God. When she was of school age, her parents enrolled her in St. John's Primary School, Onitsha, Anambra State. Her primary school education was, however, truncated by the outbreak of the Nigerian Civil War in 1967. At the end of the war, young Chika resumed her primary education, this time in Uzubi's Central School, where she obtained her first school living certificate in 1975. Subsequently, she went to Inland Girls Secondary School, Onitsha, where she finished her studies with flying colors in 1981. With her work, she gained admission into the Teacher Training College, at the end of which she obtained the Teacher's Grade 2 certificate in 1984. Soon after, she went into Anambra State College of Education, where she obtained the Nigeria Certificate in Education, NCE, in 1988. In her quest for more knowledge, she decided to go to the Anambra State University of Technology, Enugu, where she got a BSc Honors with a second-class upper division in 1991. Chika started work as a grade 2 teacher in 1984. In 1991, she joined her heartthrob in Calabar, where she secured a job with Post-Primary School Management Board, PPSMB, Calabar. She taught in Government Secondary School, Main Avenue, later on in Government Secondary School, Anantuga, and finally in Holy Child Secondary School, Calabar. In 2002, Chika lost her job, sadly, but shortly after, God smiled on her again as she was employed by the University of Calabar as lecturer 2. She was first deployed to the library, but later on was transferred to the Department of Educational Administration and Planning, now Educational Management. She worked very hard on teaching and research, such that her professional progression was fast. She went from lecturer 2 in 2004 to lecturer 1 in 2007, to senior lecturer in 2010, to associate professor in 2014. and finally to professor in 2017. Professor Chika Uchendu's administrative experience spans through the leadership of a number of university, faculty, and departmental committees and panels with a corresponding wide range of activities. Most worthy of note is her headship of teaching practice as the pioneer director of the directorate. In her first tenure, she bought an official Sienna vehicle for the directorate. This feat won her accolades from the Vice Chancellor. Professor Chika has supervised 24 postgraduate candidates, 9 masters, and 15 PhDs. She has also been an external examiner in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, the last one being a PhD in the University of Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on 16th April 2024. Professor Chika Uchendu has served as an editor-in-chief for the International Journal of Education from 2011 to 2022. Professor Uchendu belongs to several professional bodies, including Nigerian Association of Educational Administration and Planning, NAEP, as fellow, Commonwealth Council of Educational Administration and Management Secretary, and Higher Education Research and Policy Network, HEPNET. Research publications. Chika is an outstanding researcher. She has authored and co-authored 82 publications, both locally and internationally. She has 66 journal articles, 14 book chapters, and 2 textbooks to her credit. Professor Uchendu has attended and presented papers in local and international conferences. Her spiritual life started early in her life. She actually gave her life to Christ in her secondary school days. She is a child of God, dedicated to teaching and preaching the gospel. This destiny child is happily married to Pastor Paul C. Uchendu. The union is blessed with 3 wonderful children and 3 grandchildren as yet. Others will come. The economic hardship notwithstanding, God will take care. The Vice Chancellor, distinguished academics, students, tactful academic, a relentless goal-getter, an academic icon, an erudite scholar, an administrator par excellence, a woman of integrity, a lady with a good heart, a virtuous woman, an energetic, ever young-looking woman. And you can never know her age looking at her. She's always like a little young girl, but she has always been. Professor, an outstanding one of educational administration and planning, and the 123rd inaugural lecturer of the University of Calabar, Professor Chika Ochendu. The Vice Chancellor and Chairman of this occasion, Professor Florence Banko Obi, heavily represented by the Vice Chancellor Academics, the Vice Chancellor Administration, the Vice Chancellor Research, Linkages, and Collaboration, the Registrar and Secretary of Council, other principal officers of the University of Calabar, provost of the Medical College, past inaugural lecturers present, the chairman, committee of deans, deans of postgraduate school, deans of faculties, deans of faculties and dean of student affairs, director of institutes and directorates, heads of departments, distinguished professors and other members of the Senate, eminent academics from University of Calabar, my lords spiritual and temporal, friends and well-wishers, great NIETs, great Nigerian Association of Educational Administration and Planning, other distinguished guests, gentlemen of the press, great Nigerian students, great Malabites and Malabreses, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome once again. The distinguished and amiable Vice Chancellor, Ma, I give all praise and honor to the God Almighty for making today a reality in my life. I am indeed grateful to the Vice Chancellor for this wonderful opportunity to present this 123rd inaugural lecture of the University of Calabar titled Managing Education in Knowledge Economy. Managing Education in Knowledge Economy, Face South and Road to Goshen. I remain grateful to my employer, University of Calabar, for this privilege to showcase my academic acumen and intellectual prowess. This person who is standing here today in this auspicious occasion of delivering of the 123rd inaugural lecture was supposed to be an abandoned child, given the childless circumstances that heralded her birth. Nobody gave her an opportunity for survival, but the unwavering faith of her parents kept her still pushing ahead till today. She is a child of providence who was sentenced by a close acquaintance to the land of oblivion characterized by interactable and incurable illiteracy. Pointedly, her father was told that it was a waste of resources and therefore needless to train a girl child. Ironically, this close acquaintance who gave my father the impression of the needlessness of sending a girl child to school had his own girl children in school. Again, my father did not of my educational pursuits.
This death would have truncated my quest for education, but God's providence pulled me out. It is this unquenchable desire and God's grace that has made me stand here today to pay my debt to University of Calabar as a professor produced in this university. To God alone be the whole glory. In Jesus' name. Amen. Introduction. Now the main work. Managing education in knowledge economy. Phase out and road to Goshen. Yes, so many people had asked, what do you mean? What is this phase out? We will all know phase out today, and we will not want phase out to come to our life, and it will not come to our career, and it will not come to anything we are doing in life. Even in our education system, we will not want phase out to be there. And we start by asking, what is education? Education is a powerful instrument that facilitates the transmission of knowledge, skills, values, attitudes, experience, aptitude, and behavior in the life of humanity. Education is an agent of transformation to human beings and man. Because without education, what is man? Without education, I don't think we will gather here. But because education is involved, we are here. And we'll keep on moving. And I say that education can only get its rightful desire with managing it properly. When education is not properly managed, the desire and the goals of education cannot be achieved. Thank you. So, educational management is what determines whether educational goals can be achieved or not. Educational management focuses on the well-being of the individual staff and deployment of resources. How good these are galvanized together determines how good the school management is and its success in achieving school goals and pulling these resources together. The human factor makes it a process of organizing and combining available resources for the purpose of achieving educational goals by those with overall responsibilities to do so. Focus on goal achievement. For primary education, whose main goal is acquisition of literacy and numeracy. Secondary education, the two major goals are preparation for higher education and equipping the students for useful living. For tertiary education, the goal hinges on training of high manpower for the growth and development of the society. Educational management at this level must focus on the achievement of those goals. It therefore follows that recruitment, deployment, and motivation of staff must be geared towards attaining the goals. Similarly, procurement, distribution, and utilization of resources must be excellently coordinated to attain the educational goals. Having pointed out that educational management must be made to achieve goals and objectives related to various levels, doing the same in a knowledge economy, which is the system of consumption and production based primarily on intellectual capital. When you talk about knowledge management, you are talking about intellectual capital development. For example,
The difference between two human beings is their acquisition of knowledge and utilization of what has been acquired. Two people can acquire the same level of knowledge, but the utilization is what places you where you can be at a time. One can see more opportunities in utilizing, while another person may not know what to do in putting the knowledge into action. Trace out in the context of this lecture is the lack of focus on investment in education. It is not only neglecting the basic responsibilities, but also the failure of the government and the educational practitioners to provide an enabling environment for the achievement of educational goals, which has led to unimpressive performance outcomes in managing education at all levels. Even at that, trace out can be remedied by following the road to Goshen. Road to Goshen is a road to a place of refuge and comfort where succor can be provided to people in distress. Yes, as our Vice Chancellor, heavily represented, had said, that it is a place of comfort. As originally seen in the scripture, when you talk about Goshen, it was a place where the people of Israel were settled in Egypt, in the land of Egypt, when there was famine. The famine in Egypt was not touching them because they were in a particular place provided for them, that they were seated comfortably, and what the difficulties in the land was not touching them. And if we do what we ought to do in Nigerian education system, we will get better education that will help our national development economically, politically, religiously, and otherwise. And I pray that it will happen in this nation sometime. Focus on goal attainment. For primary education, whose main goal is acquisition of literacy and numeracy, we have seen that there are some things that we ought to do. And the real goal in primary education, if you have national policy on education, you can look at it. It is embedded. All the things that will take us to where we ought to be are all embedded in national policy on education. But when it comes to implementation, that is where we are having problem. Because what can take a child, help the child to think critically, skills that if they are developed, they are all there in the national policy on education. But the way they are being managed, at times the goals are not being achieved. But if these things we are going to discuss today are put in place, we will have a better education system. You look at what is managing education. You look at the diagram. What is managing education? That is not the diagram. I don't know what is managing education. It has a table that summarizes with that diagram, illustrating meaning, scope, objective, process, and results. And it's telling us that managing education is the act of diligently harnessing all educational activities relating to human and material resources to facilitate teaching and learning. towards achieving stated objectives. The objectives are there. The goals are there. The ability of the educational managers to diligently harness the available resources, putting them together towards teaching and learning, so that the goals will be achieved. Once these are done properly, following the scope, the objectives, the process, the goal, the results will be that goals will be achieved. We ask, what is knowledge economy? Knowledge economy is an area that is attracting serious attention in all aspects of human endeavor. This is so because it has been realized, and rightly too, that one can do nothing tangible in today's world without knowledge. We need knowledge to go further in life. We need knowledge to know what to do at a particular time and how to do it. We need knowledge. He said that knowledge is at the epicenter of improvement in all aspects of human activities. As a result, every organization is keen into knowledge through massive investments to drive the best results from knowledge. Knowledge so gathered needs to be distributed effectively to achieve the desired results. So, knowledge-based economy centers mainly on knowledge and information, which has to be produced and distributed by humans. The kernel of knowledge economy is the flexibility of man's idea in generating knowledge, distributing knowledge, and utilizing knowledge and information to solve man's various problems regarding knowledge, regarding growth and development of the nation. Knowledge economy is an economic system that relies heavily on intellectual capabilities than physical or natural resources. A way of knowledge economy is a way of moving, shifting from what we know natural resources to other things using intellectual capital development to increase the level of economic growth in our nation. The nexus between educational management and knowledge economy. There is relationship between educational management and knowledge economy. Education and knowledge are inseparable. The former leads to the latter. Even though education is one of the major pillars of knowledge economy, in actual sense, knowledge economy cannot thrive without education. To make them achieve the desired goal. Yes, we are talking about managing education in knowledge economy, but knowledge economic system of the nation. So when education is given in its place, it will affect other areas positively. It has therefore become an important fact that one of the major challenges confronting educational managers is how to meet the requirements of the globalized world, characterized by revolution in science and technology. This follows that human capital created from a functional education system
is the engine room of economic growth and development. Countries such as Hong Kong, South Korea, Singapore, that were initially Nigerian contemporaries in economic growth and development in the 60s and 70s, have outgrown and left Nigeria far behind, rolling under excruciating and asphyxiating pangs of underdevelopment and poor economic growth. From the ongoing articulations, it has become clear that making long-term investment in education, developing innovation capability, and having an economic environment which is market transaction friendly. In this regard, therefore, the four pillars that constitute a knowledge economy have become imperative to entrench education system deeply rooted in knowledge generation, knowledge acquisition, knowledge sharing, and knowledge dissemination. Knowledge economy and education system, the Nigerian experience. We have our Nigerian experience in this. The Nigerian education system at primary and tertiary levels have been grappling to compete favorably with her peers elsewhere, but it seems they have been woven and mired under the stronghold of traditional practices. Much as this is in vogue, the system has been lagging behind to the extent that our products appear to be breathing and measuring up with the global standard occasioned by the revolution in knowledge-related endeavors. The reason for this is not far-fetched, as the Nigerian education system is reeling under the excruciating pangs of chronic underfunding. The funding of education in our country is what is setting the education system down. Apart from other factors, this is one of the major factors that is affecting us not to be where other countries are, where they are. Why some countries had left us. You see, while other nations are using knowledge to transform the education system, Nigerian authorities seems to prefer enjoying the gains achieved by other nations by patronizing their education, especially universities. Instead of laboring assiduously, place her education system for healthy competitiveness. We prefer going to other countries. I am still saying it. Nigerians, we have what it takes. I had gone out for external examiners, even outside this country. The PhD I met, we are not, some of our students can, that majority, not some majority, cannot do that type of research. We have what it takes to help in funding our education adequately will take us high. The Nigerian economy in the 21st century depends primarily on harnessing natural resources to drive national growth and development. The government, especially in the immediate past Buhari's regime, made much noise on diversifying the economy, where emphasis will no more be placed on crude oil, but on other areas such as agriculture. This means that efforts were to be shifted from crude oil proceeds to other economic activities, whereby Nigerians will play a leading role. Relying on government support With this, if this was laudable, there was no conscious effort to develop the capital, human capital, to propel the good and laudable these goals are. The implementation has been anything but effective. Elements of knowledge economy are embedded in these goals, especially laying a sound basis for scientific and reflective thinking. Developing in the child the ability to adopt the child's changing environment, giving the child opportunity for developing manipulative skills that will enable the child function effectively in the society within the limits of the child's capacity. Unfortunately, these aspects of primary education goals have not been given the desired attention, and so little or nothing has been done in this regard. Even at that, there are no palpable deliberate efforts to reposition primary education to be in line with evolving and unfolding knowledge economy requirements. Furthermore, requisite facilities are also lacking. What we have is primary education with poorly trained teachers, active debt of requisite facilities, poor learning environment, and ill-motivated and frustrated teachers and administrative workforce. Against this backdrop, therefore, it seems near impossible for Nigeria to carve a niche for herself in striving to achieve her developmental goals as other developing countries, especially South Africa, Egypt, Ghana, South Korea, Malaysia, and Indonesia, among others, are working tirelessly towards achieving the goals. Secondary education. From this, it is evident that secondary education in Nigeria is bereft of providing a sound footing for technological, intellectual, and vocational skills. The reason for this is not far-fetched. Secondary education is suffering from the same age-long and acute neglect that education generally is passing through, occasioned by poor funding. Little wonder Nigeria is found at the low level of indices of development. Therefore, it follows that we are place, Nigeria faces a very bad future where she may perpetually lag behind and become a perennial nation. We will come out of it. Special education. Special education is the third tier and the most important classification of education system in Nigeria. It sits at the top, and other education systems, they are grouped into colleges of education, polytechnic, monotechnic, and universities. They are vested with the responsibilities of accommodating the products of the secondary education system and train them to high-level manpower capable of contributing tremendously to their individual communities, society, and nation development. By this enviable role, special education acts as the hub for knowledge management activities. Most of the above goals are in line with previous knowledge economy. However, the status of this implementation is far cry from supposed reality. Special education, as an embodiment of what it takes to achieve national development, has been a pitiable sight for a long time in Nigeria. Unfortunately, federal government of Nigeria recognizes and appreciates the place of special education in Nigerian national development, but in reality, she has distanced herself from contributing to the well-being of this education sector. Furthermore, the state of special education is characterized by poor and dilapidated infrastructure, frustration and low morale among various categories of staff. The staff, they are not happy because they are not giving them what they're supposed to have, so that they will be motivated to do the work. Furthermore, the state, from all this knowledge economy, has not exerted significant impact in Nigeria. Even at that, Nigerian special education has more or less been existing in names than in quality. We are known in names, but in quality, we are far from what we should be. But I believe that we will get there. Face out, as I'm facing you. I'm looking at you. If I turn like this, am I still being focused? Will I still achieve my goal? I am not concentrating again. I'm not being focused. I have removed my eye from what I should do. Equally, that is what we can see in our education system. Because the people that are supposed to carry out their duty to see that, ensure that Nigerian education system is functioning well, had purposely refused to do what they're supposed to do. So I said that face out in the context of this lecture is the lack of focus on the investment in education. This is the refusal of the government to invest meaningfully in education, which has led to unimpressive performance in managing education. The face out has crippled primary and secondary school education level and affecting tertiary institutions in Nigeria negatively, irrespective of the academic staff union of universities, ASU, and other union struggles for the past years. The percentage of national budgets government invests in education for the past 14 years, from 2010 to 2023, has not reached 10% of the national budget, which is against UNESCO's advice. The government has not provided an enabling environment for education to thrive in Nigeria and achieve the stated goals and objectives. Knowledge economy is known to impact positively on the education system through emphasis on education system, through emphasis on scientific and technological development on one hand, and the attendant human capital production on the other hand. Undoubtedly, knowledge economy is the driving force behind educational goal attainment, especially in this era of science and technology, economic growth and development, and human capital production and utilization. It can only play these roles if it is properly harnessed and channeled towards the desired goals. However, Nigeria as a country is still dragging her feet in terms of making breakthrough in knowledge acquisition, knowledge dissemination, and knowledge utilization. She ranks among the lowest in human capital index development. In 2020, Nigeria's human capital index stood at 0.36, ranked 168 out of 174 countries. Is that a good one? Because we don't have what it takes to come up. But I believe that once we remedy the phase out, our index will change and we will be where we're supposed to be. Regrettably, these problems pose as stark realities facing our special education presently. It has therefore shown that special educational institution in Nigeria is incapacitated to produce tangible and desired results in human capital development, and as such has been unable to reap the gains of knowledge economy. The Nigerian tertiary education has failed to raise the achievement level of her products, thereby placing them at a disadvantageous position in the labor market. The diagram used, I use this diagram to illustrate the 16 points in phase out and 16 points in road to Goshen. I think by now we must have known what is road to Goshen or what is phase out. Do you know what is phase out? Now there are 16 points that this diagram has been used to illustrate the tables. Number one, because if these problems are looked at and the problems are solved, I think we will be where we're supposed to be. Because Nigeria is going up, we are not going down. And we will get to a higher level where we ought to be and the time we ought to be there, so that our children will gain what they're supposed to gain. Number one, chronic underfunding leading to near collapse of public primary schools and to an extent the secondary schools. If you go to public primary schools in Nigeria, you will understand what I'm saying. Everybody or most people are going for private primary school for their children, private secondary for their children. Why? Because we are not satisfied with the service delivery in our primary and secondary school, even university to an extent. Two, poor condition of service of school personnel. Are you satisfied, teachers, with your money, their salary, your other allowances? Administrative challenges occasioned by lack of funds and poor quality staff. Administrative challenges. Some people, they have what it takes to handle some issues in their offices. But when they look back and see that the resources are not there, they manage with what they have. Because you know a quality leader, a good administrator, by making use of their valuable resources to keep pushing, keep moving,
than staying and looking at where to get, and you stop what you have to do. A good leader will look around and know what to do to push the work forward, and will not stand administrative challenges occasioned by lack of funds and poor quality staff. Setback because of political instability brought about by constant change and poor policy implementation. As I rightly said, at times we have the goals and objectives of every level of education. We have the goals, but implementation of these things we've not achieved them because of one factor or the other. Human capital development and utilization. Lack of clearly defined human capital development programs for primary and secondary school teachers, and poor funding in tertiary education, because tertiary institutions, they know what to do in human capital development, but at times lack of funds equally distract them from, or stop them from doing what they ought to do. While primary and secondary, it is not properly defined in their level. Number 6, favoritism in employment and appointment because of political and tribal sentiments. There are some people that can do better in some areas, in some positions of leadership, but because of my sister or my brother, I want to favor my sister, I want to favor my brother, I will not take the people, the quality people that can give us what it takes. Parents opting out for private school. For leaders and teachers, then research, graduates for employment, emphasis on theory-based learning, lack of equipment for practical-oriented subjects and courses. We can see some of these things. We are seeing example in the JAM this year, 2024. We can see how the result is very poor because of certain things. I said that Nigeria is depending on foreign partners for survival, importing this and that, instead of trying to make our own comfortable, where we will not lack such things. Because of time, the 16 points in Road to Goshen is there. You can see them and look at them properly. But let me say the introduction of incentives to motivate undergraduate students towards enrolling in science and technology-related programs, establishment of technology hubs for intensive skill acquisition for students, provision for enabling environment for youth to unleash their potentials, elimination of political, tribal, cleanness, and sectional sentiments in appointments to leadership, appointment of quality, visionary, resourceful, creative, and energetic personnel into positions of responsibilities in our education system. It will help us to go further when these are followed. In conclusion, the lecture has painstakingly painstakingly pointed out the management of education in knowledge economy and has pointed out the dividends other countries derive by investing in knowledge economy to reposition their education system for effective and result-oriented, tangible outcomes. Knowledge economy has placed a positive impact at the primary, secondary, and tertiary education to the extent that countries that embrace it are competing favorably and have outclassing and outsmarting others. These countries have an edge over others in their economy, economic system, education system, production of goods and services, politically and among others. However, the failure of Nigerians to follow suit has brought stark literates to expressing themselves in form of brain drain, dissatisfaction, and frustrated education manpower, perpetually sick economy, unbridled unemployment, religious bigotry, and recent outbursts in kidnapping, terrorism, and armed robbery, among others. Unfortunately, one cannot adopt half measures and expect full benefits. The better soup, they say, now money kill them. If you want to get full benefit of anything you are doing, you have to invest full action so that at the end of it, you will achieve the goal totally. The lecture has also presented what knowledge economy is all about and the ideal palpable situation where it is applied to be observed and experienced in education and other spheres of human endeavor. The pathetic pictures of the place of knowledge economy in managing education in our education system in primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions level have been painted. Far-reaching suggestions or recommendations have been presented as the road to Goshen, which, if adhered to strictly and applied, will place Nigeria as one of the leading lights, as one of the visionary leadership, robust economy and functional education system globally, because we have what it takes to be there without wasting any time. In a nutshell, Face Out in form of this had expressed in this lecture because of time. Because of time, I will go to my contribution to knowledge. The Vice Chancellor, I hereby present my academic achievements, especially the intellectual and research output, as a trained, certified, registered, and licensed teacher by TRCN. I have inculcated knowledge, skills, values, attitudes, aptitudes, and good behavior in students at different levels of education by the special grace of God. Having attained this level in my academic career, my stay has not been without, in one way or the other, uplifting the academic landscape from where I met it to another level in terms of teaching. In my career advancement. So this is what I have been able to contribute as my share towards knowledge advancement, institutionally, nationally, and globally. The Vice Chancellor and my listening audience in today's occasion, permit me to present this modest contribution in the following areas. 1, teaching and career. The foundation's early foundation exposed to teaching career provided the foundation which bludgeoned me to achieve excellence and attain a rewarding apogee to this most important, highly reverenced and quintessential mother of all professions, education. Therefore, I am a complete teacher and a proud teacher for that matter. I am at the level of undergraduates. I have been able to impart knowledge to students in different academic programs, which include UNE, CES, and Sandwich. I have shaped behaviors, molded and modified characters, restored hopes, and motivated students who would have ended up as despondent and frustrated individuals. My products at this level have been able to carve niches for themselves and make remarkable and significant impacts in their areas of calling. Research. At the postgraduate level, I have also impacted positively and introduced innovations to my students through the courses I taught. I have 82 publications. Supervision-wise, I have supervised 24 postgraduate students, 9 masters, and 14 PhDs. At the university community, I had served in my department, in the faculty, and the university. But I am going to just point one, the directorate, the Pioneer Directorate of Teaching Practice. Acknowledgements. The Vice Chancellor, I want to thank and appreciate the people that have contributed in one way or the other to my academic success and achievement. To God alone be the whole glory for all he has done in my life. He is the author and finisher of my faith, and I will not be able to pay him back. But to him alone be the whole glory in Jesus' name. Amen. I sincerely appreciate my late parents, Mr. and Mrs. Ifremobi, for all their cares, prayers, sacrifice of love, financial responsibilities, all the things they've done for me. The foundation they laid, though they are no more to eat the fruit of their labor. But I thank God that my siblings are here. They are witnessing what the Lord is doing and what the Lord will do. With joy in my heart, I acknowledge and appreciate my beloved husband, Pastor Paul Uchendu, who God used to help my life. I say that God will continue to keep you, preserve you, as I pray that you will continue to be in good health in Jesus' name. Amen. God has used you to beautify me, and I'm not taking it for granted. I am saying thank you. So our lovely children, Dr. Mrs. Goodness Alphonsus Ekanem and her husband, Dr. Alphonsus Paul Ekanem, our second daughter, Dr. son, Master Praise Chebuka Uchendu. Thank you for your support for our grandchildren, Jenica, Kiona, and Zen. Thank you for your own, at your own level. With deep sense of gratitude, I appreciate the incumbent Vice Chancellor of the University of Calabar, Professor Florence Banko Obi, the first female and the 11th Vice Chancellor of the University of Calabar, that God is using to shape our university, taking it to an enviable height. I am grateful for giving me the opportunity, the platform to serve as a pioneer director of teaching practice of the University of Calabar and extending my tenure. I am grateful. I am not taking it for granted. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me this conducive environment to deliver the 123rd inaugural lecture of the University of Calabar. My capacity head of department, my capacity head of department, my capacity head of department, Dr. Emmanuel Emmanuel, I appreciate you. Thank you. And my wonderful colleagues that are working like a family, thank you for your assistance, even in this lecture preparation, especially the chairman of my committee, Professor Basil Akwebu, and my vice chairman, Professor Mrs. Anyefiok Edet. Thank you, Professor Yuyu Basi, Professor L.A. Odida, Professor John Ondia, Professor C.P. Akpan, Professor James E. Okon, Professor E.S. Uko, Professor U.I. Eto, Professor Comfort Eto, Professor Mrs. Sule, and others. I will not be able to mention all their names, but they are all captured, and I say thank you for all your love and all your support. For my teaching practice directorate, I thank my coordinators from different faculties and thank all the representatives from all the departments. My dean, my faculty dean, Professor Antonia Enaja. When I say my dean, I mean my dean. I want to recognize my dean and say thank you. You will not understand. I thank my other deans, Professor Cecilia O. Ekweme and Professor Arigbo B. Arigbo. I say thank you for your love and your support. Other faculty deans, I will not be able to mention all their names, but they are all captured. I said, Professor Obinenu Koha, Professor S.C. Uche, Professor D. Denga, Professor A.E.O. Esu, Professor Eno Ukon, Professor Florence Banko Obi, Professor C.C. Chukura, Professor Simeon Akbama, for all the things I learned in the course of your leadership. Thank you. I remain grateful to Professor Ivara Isu, the 7th Vice Chancellor of the University of Calabar, who approved my first appointment letter, the 8th Vice Chancellor, late Professor Basi O. Asukwa, who regularized my appointment. I am grateful to the 9th Vice Chancellor, Professor James Eboke, who approved my sabbatical leave application to Alex Ekweme Federal University Ndufaleke Iko, Ebonyi State. I thank the 10th Vice Chancellor, Professor Zana Akpago, that announced me full professor. I will not forget to appreciate my uncle, late Professor, the former Vice Chancellor of University of Nsukka, Nigeria, Nsukka, Professor and Professor Mrs. Ginigeme Mbanefo, for all their assistance and contributions in my life, and my uncle, Reverend Dr. Engineer Emeka and Lizzie Ejinkonye, and Bishop Kenny Femena and former Ifemena. I sincerely appreciate all my pastors, the ministers, and Christ for the World Mission and Dunamis International Gospel Center for all their prayers, especially Pastor Batromi and Sandra Oche for all their help. Thank you, my audience. Thank you for listening. God bless you, ma. May we be seated, please. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we have learned a lot, and we can attest to the fact that we understand now what the language she used meant. Face out and road to Goshen. They were sounding like strange words, but now we are able to use it freely, having learned from this lecture. Please, let's give her another round of applause. Without waste of time, I want to invite the chairman to step forward for the presentation of the lecture notes by the inaugural lecturer, and also appreciation of the lecturer by the exchange of memento.
Higher than the mountain, you're my everything. You are great. You are kind. Oh, Daddy, in you I put my trust. To quote the truth, for everything I am, I owe to you. Oh, anywhere, there is nothing impossible. All too hard for you to do.
With all respect, I present my inaugural lecture notes book to the University of Calabar. The 123rd inaugural lecture to the university. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations. In the same vein, with deep appreciation for all your contributions, the University of Calabar, under the leadership of the 11th Vice Chancellor, Professor Bankobi, presents this memento to you on the 123rd as the 123rd inaugural lecturer of our great university. Delivered this day, 29 May 2024. Congratulations.